Welcome back to Nix Vids. On today's video I'm going to be reviewing the Royal Enfield Bullet 500. In today's video, I'm going to go over the facts and figures about the Royal Enfield, this lovely 500 Bullet 500, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm going to tell you my opinion on this bike and what I think its uses are. Where can you use it, what can you do with it, and just give you an overview of this beautiful motorcycle. What? I've just pulled over to have a look at the specs of this bike, and I shouldn't laugh because I'm going to pay for it because it's only fair, but this bike has its flaws. One of the biggest flaws I can say and explain to you is that it's rattly, and you will have noticed this for the rest of this video. I'm going to carry on because there's no point stopping, but you'll notice it's rattly, and that means that unfortunately some bolts fall off. I've just pulled over, like I said, and I come around and had a look and noticed the red tail light cover is missing. It's fallen off, and I'm going to have to find a way to fasten it as it's slightly an issue. I'm going to go back and look for it, but that is the downside of this bike. It rattles like anything. Bits are going to fall off it, and it's such a shame, but that's one of the major downsides, is it just rattles. So we've still got a brake light, though it is a yellow brake light, but we'll live with it. You know what, actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the brake light out, because it's just going to fall off and probably rip the cables. So I'm just going to completely remove the brake light. Ooh, that was close. Let's put this in my backpack. See, if you didn't already know, this is, I haven't said this, but this is my dad's motorcycle, and obviously I ride my own bike quite aggressively, and he was worried about letting me take it out because he'd worry I'd drop it or I'd have an accident with it, and I was trying to confirm him that nothing would go wrong, and now the tail light's fallen off. So it is a comedy. It is comedy, really. Let's go back, see if we can find this cover and see how badly scraped up it is, because it will be. It's fallen off a bike. Okay, now we're off again. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this bike specs wise, and just say that it's to buy this bike brand new, because this is a 2010, would you believe? I'll explain that in a minute. It's £5,000 or just under, 4,995. For that money, I think you get quite a nice little bike. It's a shame, obviously, that it rattles itself to pieces, but we won't. We'll ignore that fact for now. So with this bike, it's only 27.5, I think, brake horsepower, so you're not getting a lot of grunt. It's not a quick motorcycle, and that's not what you buy it for. You're not going to be hitting the Isle of Man TT, trying to get your knee down and shooting along at 200 miles an hour, because mainly it will barely do. I imagine, because I haven't hit it, and this is only from what my dad says, it barely does 100 miles an hour. It probably does 90 at most. Do you see what I mean? So it's not a quick motorcycle. You're not buying it for the speed. You're buying it for the fact it's a modern classic. Let me explain that. These bikes used to be built years and years ago. These are, I think it's 1970s or maybe even further back than that. Don't hold me. If you want to look it up, have a look it up. This bike should be old, but it's not. It's 2010. So what the guys at Royal Enfield have gone, they've gone and got their motorcycle, and they've gone and got the manual out for the 1970s bike and just rebuilt it. It's almost exact. There is tweaks. They've tweaked it. Like now, so yeah, so now it's fuel injected. It makes it more reliable, which is great, fantastic. So this is a classic bike with modern bits. The problem with a bike that's old like this is it's rattly. We've already discussed this. It rattles itself to pieces. It's and I love but hate the fact a piece has fallen off on this ride, but that shows it all. The tail light's fallen off. So I'm going to just say a couple of things about this bike. There it is. I spotted it. I shouldn't laugh. It's not funny. It really isn't. I shouldn't laugh because it isn't funny, but it's the stereotype. It's what everyone says about these bikes. They rattle themselves, and that's literally happened to me on a ride. I'm now very concerned that other things might rattle and well, maybe fall off, but you can't not ride a bicycle when you buy it. You can't just sit it in your garage. So a couple of things to note: you're not buying a modern piece of equipment. You are buying a classic bike that's been made now. That's the way to think about it. So you shouldn't expect a modern bike. It's going to have its teething problems. It's going to have the little issues that made biking fun years ago. And I think I would have loved a bike like this. So so I've only ridden this bike 5 miles and I'm already having to buy a new tail light because it's fallen off. Well, just a tail light cover, but still, it's not something you would want to have to do on the bike that you bought. Okay, so let's go over some of the bits about it. Even though it's a 500cc bike, it only produces 27.5 brake horsepower and only really has enough grunt to do country roads like this, where it is at home, or around town. You are not bringing this bike on the motorway. It's not meant for that. It won't survive that. You should not do that. That's all I can say. Okay, so with the old engine comes the old brakes. It's got a, how would I call it, a drum brake. That's it, a drum brake at the back. So the rear brake is, I'm applying the rear brake now and we're not stopping. That's the thing. It's not a good brake. Let me slam it on. It doesn't lock up. It slows you down, don't get me wrong, but it's not locking up. That's not what this bike is about. Again, you've got to appreciate that this bike isn't a modern bike, but that's what makes it fun. It's the fact that it's old, it's clunky, it falls apart, and that's what you expect. That's what you should expect. Don't buy this bike expecting to commute to London every day and wonder why it rattles itself to pieces on the motorway, and when you get there, why you don't have half the bike that you left with. This bike is for the weekend riders. It is, I'm going to show off my new Enfield. I'm going to take it round and tool around the block and then head on home for a cup of tea. It's to the Loomies and back bike. If you go to Loomies every weekend, the motorcycle cafe, this is the bike for you. You toodle there, you go there, you chat to your mates and you toodle back. So yeah, with a drum brake at the back and a disc brake at the front, the disc brake's not bad, to be fair. It does the job. It's a lot better than the rear brake, so the stopping distance is, there we go, very improved. I'm not going to slam brakes on too much because obviously no ABS, no electronic aids at all, but you don't need it on a 27 brake horsepower motorcycle. Would I buy this bike? It is definitely on the list of bikes I'd want to have, but if I'm buying a classic bike, I want it to be a classic. I wouldn't buy a modern version of a classic bike because there's no advantage to it. There you go, that's a problem, okay? I found false neutral from second to third. It's an old bike. Just click it up and carry on. That is something to be aware of. It does do that. Because this bike is only 27.5 brake horsepower, it is A2 legal. I would not recommend it for someone's first A2 motorcycle. This bike is for the weekend riders. It is that simple as that. You want to go out once in a while and enjoy the bike. That is what this is for. You're going to cruise around with your friends. You're not going to do more than 40-50 miles an hour, even down these country roads that you could do 60. It's not the reason for it. That's not why you're buying it. I wouldn't like to say any bike's as bad as a Harley, but this bike has definitely got the Harley wobbles. Wobbles, you can see it twitching left and right, left and right. I imagine if you were booking it, you would get some nasty speed wobbles. Just something to be aware of. I'm disappointed making this video because I wanted to find reasons for people to buy this motorcycle, and at the end of the day, the only thing that it comes down to is if you find it beautiful, you should buy it. At the end of the day, I hope this video has helped you decide whether or not you want to buy one of these bikes. I hope it hasn't put you off, because I wouldn't want to do that. That's not the reason I made this video, was not to put people off riding these bikes, or even purchasing one of these. If you've been wanting one for months, you do it. That's why you want it at the end of the day. Okay, so if you want a classic bike that you can get from brand new, this is the bike for you. I can't tell you it's perfect, but is any bike? Thank you very much for watching Nix Vids, and if you want me to do more of these, just like, comment, just let me know. And I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching Nix Vids. I'll see you soon.